I'm just gonna. Go ahead.
We're going melee now?
Going melee.
Never mind.
Oh, speaking of melee, Berserk is getting a Dynasty Warriors made.
Crawler combat?
Yeah, like
Sweet.
they've done Dynasty Warriors, they've done the Gundam series. It's getting its own.
Berserk.
Berserk is getting one.
No,
Yeah.
never. No,
The Hyrule.
Unless you try to
I
turn
haven't
it
played
into
that
Disney. You can't turn Berserk.
The
into
one
Disney.
that looks really good that I'm not a big. I was never really big into the franchise. Anyway, was Titanfall, but the second one looks really good. Like they worked out some of the bugs on it.
It has a single player.
It's supposed to.
Yeah.
It has and now it has a
single
full.
player
It was actually
campaign.
a single. It did what it kind of did what the Destiny did at first, where all the story was like there but not there.
Yeah.
Like you can see Destiny's story if you physically got off your system, went to your phone or to a laptop and looked it up. I'm like, so you're encouraging the person to stop.
No,
playing the game.
what they're doing is they're waiting for you because Destiny has a lot of loading and travel,
I love how
self-travel. All you have to do is get another. Well, that reminds me of Freelancer. You need another game to
Yeah.
play the game.
Yeah. Yes.
you need
Thank you.
You need a mobile
There is
game to play Freelancer.
Remember another one like that? Remember Eve?
Oh well, that doesn't count.
Well, no, Eve.
You can do a lot of different things in Eve while Eve is still running. You can
Yeah,
like
Freelancer
do
on
all
the other
this.
hand. This is me.
I just
Right.
wish, at least for loading screens on Destiny, just if you just let me make my ship do things,
Yeah.
it would be better. But no, I can't. I'm like, just let me control my ship. bring the
I
loading
want to
screen.
know.
I would have been fine.
Has anyone
Right.
played Taken King at all? Was that any good?
It's what Destiny should have been when it launched. It was actually made Destiny
They
a
actually
full
gave,
game.
they actually gave it a really good.
It
The one I heard that.
It actually made a full game.
Well, and it actually had a really good bad guy too.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the Taken King. Come on.
Well, it's just it
I
made
never played Destiny.
it should make Destiny a full game because Destiny was not a full game at launch.
No, it was
They
only
do that.
it was only two like
It
a
was
third of the
shell
way.
game.
They do that more and more now.
Well, yeah. Well, it's because everything's pushed towards the.
And
Online component.
I feel like I'm turning to the moderator. Like this is just Roundtable, and I'm over here being moderator.
knock yourself out. I don't
But
care.
I
We
know
can
I feel
post
like
this.
it's kind of pushed towards like this whole online only thing,
Mm.
and just recently you're starting to get pushed back. Like,
Well,
Titanfall-
the biggest proponent of that was Battlefront.
Oh, yeah.
It was strictly all online, and people wanted some form of campaign
Well,
with that. And
No, the Titanfall started that.
you're right. I take that.
Titanfall was the very first
Titanfall.
straight online.
Well, I mean, there have been other ones that weren't successful. Titanfall was hyped as such a big thing because I mean, if you go back to PS3, you had Mag was supposed to be this.
Yeah.
PS3 Mag never really launched though.
It did.
It did?
Yeah, it did.
I have
It
the
launched.
disc. I have the disc.
It launched to a very small market,
I mean, they just recently shut down the servers. I think a year and a half ago, 2 years ago.
but it wasn't that.
But it's kind of like. But the
no,
other
but
thing
it
is,
was. Well, I'm saying Titanfall was the first. I'll call it semi-successful because it was mostly purchased on hype and then traded in immediately thereafter.
well, that's why I never bought it when I went and got my one. Even
Well,
everyone
I
was saying you should get Titanfall. I was like, no.
I think I
until
have it now because it was like down under $10.
I have it now because
So,
it's.
I mean, there's
I got
all
a
the,
brand new
there's all the
copy
missions.
for
There's the
10.
missions, right, that you learn to play with the tutorial.
Yeah, I mean,
there's
and,
one tutorial.
and they try to make what they try to do is they try to make.
They tried to make an
They try to
online
make the
story.
online influence the story. The same way like, Evolve tried to do like an overall hunt thing where each
Yeah.
mission would somehow affect the other one. Like it was just kind of like a branching pattern type of thing.
Well, it's kind
The
of
worst thing about that though is to continue the story. You had to win, but the other team was typically built of people that already beat the game. So you're having level 1s and level 10s against like level 20s and 30s and up
Well,
teams
it's-
because they're the other side.
Well, I mean, like I said, now you're starting to get the kickback from it because there have been this push for online.
Well,
online.
another
And now
one-
we're getting to the point where
they want
people
the,
want their
Yeah.
couch co-op back.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing is, look at what is it now? Infinite Warfare for the new Call of Duty. That's really been they've really expanded the campaign on that
Do
too.
you mean Halo Infinite Warfare?
That's pretty much what it
It's
is.
the second most disliked video in YouTube history.
Advanced Warfare.
Advanced Warfare.
It's only behind Justin Bieber.
Really.
Dude, it's got a huge backlash. It's
People,
what the likes should have been for Infinite or for Warfare is actually what Battlefield 1 has got.
Yeah, Battlefield 1 going back to World War One, just because people have gotten so tired of the futuristic thing. Just like back during the PS2 Xbox era, that one, it was like, oh my god, another World War II shooter. Yay.
And then all of a sudden, when 360 came out, everything was futuristic.
Yeah, and then we all went to modern, and everyone loved modern. And I'm like, you can even tell that they expected a backlash because the only way you get the remastered collection of Modern Warfare.
Currently.
Yeah. Well, they're going to keep it that way with all the dislikes. They're not going to.
They're gonna keep.
I wouldn't
They're gonna
mind
keep it that way until they meet their market quota, and then they're gonna release it.
Oh yeah,
Probably a year, maybe 2 years down the road.
I think about a year and a half. Give it about 18 months, really,
Yeah.
for it to sat. You want,
Realistically.
but you want
It'll be 1 year because you remember all Warfare games go off of a 1 year. It's a yearly title.
Right.
So
right. I mean, they just did what Black Ops 3 last year,
Yeah,
so now Infinite
Call of Duty's a yearly title, so you're going to run until you hit the point of the end of the season pass.
Yep.
At which point, then it'll
The
be
next one will
released as its own.
My thing
separate
is though, I mean, I like some of the aspects of the gameplay. You know, some of the ground warfare looked, pretty decent and, actually a little more realistically based because versus like when you got into advanced warfare where you're in your exosuit 3/4 of the time in the campaign, all you're doing is zipping around, not really doing much fighting. I prefer to, I prefer the assault role myself. I'll take my rifle, LMG, and I want to mess shit up. But that was the problem that I didn't like with Advanced Warfare is that, okay, I got to go to this position, take a couple pot shots, move to this position, pull out my rocket launcher, disable this tank, and then I could finally advance. But then in order to advance, there's this rubble path in the way, and then I've got to start going all over the place again. I feel like if I wanted to do that, I'll go play Spider-Man on PS2.
Well,
Seriously.
Spider-Man is getting a new game too.
which looks amazing, by the way.
Yeah,
It does.
So
I
is
did see
God
the
of
preview.
War. God of War looks.
I'm kind of on God of War.
Well, it's because it's kind of different this time around.
Well,
It kind of reminds me of
It's-
Prince of
I'm
it's kind of-
hoping that it's good. I
Well,
really
it's-
hope it's good.
From what I understand, there's going to be less linearity than there was.
Well, it's supposed to be more sandbox and story driven.
Yeah, well, because it's finally,
It's the end of Kratos.
yeah. I mean, because in that point, that boy's basically that's his son.
Yeah.
Which the concept of him having a son after everything is the control they show for him in the trailer is quite interesting.
Yeah,
'Cause he's
the
like,
boy shoots him.
You're a 12-year-old kid.
I should kill you because you shot me. If you weren't mine.
But no, the two things.
That look that he had there for a split second. If you weren't my blood, there might be trouble.
Go back to the Infinite Warfare Battlefield thing. There's two things I have for that. First off, there's a dig at EA. First off, there's more space combat in Infinite Warfare than there was in Battlefront.
Yeah.
And secondly, since you guys have played games a longer period of time, so you guys will understand the hilarity of this, we've now reached a point in our gaming industry where we have chosen to boo Activision, who at one point you can remember was
The king.
was awesome, and we are choosing to cheer for Electronic Arts.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
We flip flop.
again.
But the one thing I will say with this is primarily when Modern Warfare originally came out, the original Modern Warfare games, 1, 2, and 3, they were good. They had a very solid storyline. It was a very plausible storyline that could happen.
I will go with that until 2, 3 got nuke happy to me.
But well,
3 Thor shot. Anyone Thor shot?
But what I'm saying is that the actual
when did we
But
get...
look at Battlefield though. I mean, seriously, Battlefield 3, they had a guy literally had a suitcase nuke.
Yeah.
Or a suitcase nuke inside his backpack in the middle of Times Square, which could theoretically happen.
Well,
but,
I mean, but at the same time, if you go to, it's the funniest thing is when you go to the Battlefield players, you don't hear most of them like, oh yeah, the story.
What story?
They're like, oh yeah, online.
right.
Once
The
bugs
first
were
thing.
done. Once the bugs were done, they're online.
Right, but I mean, at least the storyline. I mean, I've played Battlefield 3 and 4 pretty heavily, and I will admit 4 had a little bit better storyline to go with, right? Because it was in China. There was a lot of political unrest. It was very plausible. But where you're looking at post 3 and everything else since then in the Call of Duty games, and I'm not saying Black Ops. Black Ops is a whole other thing.
Yeah.
But the original Black Ops was good. But like when you get past Modern Warfare 3 and start getting into a lot of the futuristic stuff and it kind of taints the storyline a little bit. It really speeds up the campaign mode because you become more tech reliant. And in my opinion, it's like, what happened just to the good old fashioned of let's get an M4 and let's just dog this out a little bit. Have the good firefights, if you will.
Well, it seems the funny part about it is if you notice it, Battlefield is now pushing towards a more. They want their online, but they actually want a story this time around.
Right.
So Battlefield's been known for their online, whereas Call of Duty, to be 100% at least from the last one forward, is now pushing for the harder online only because in the campaign and not Black Ops 3, but Advanced Warfare at least, you could skip missions. I do believe you didn't even have to play them.
You can skip through parts of missions.
Yeah, you can there was a lot you could skip through, and I remember that quite a bit.
It's become this thing where they're pushing hard for basically the concept of the Battlefield player, not the Battlefield player, because the Battlefield player does not like Modern Warfare or Call of Duty a lot. Just the concept of the online player.
Well, COD, Call of Duty, COD, whatever you want to call it.
Whatever.
COD, COD. Anyways, they lost their story after Modern Warfare 4. Or Modern Warfare. They went straight into the, we want to be Battlefield.
Well, Modern Warfare 2 still had something. Modern Warfare 2 still kept you engaged.
A little bit.
Well, I mean, because
compared to
you had the shock and awe of the first one. The first one was the nuke mission. That's basically how that one's remembered.
Yeah.
Yep.
If it wasn't for that mission, honestly, the story mode of the first one's kind of forgettable.
I didn't remember anything except that nuke section. That's it.
Whereas the second one, you actually kind of, you got the characters again. You got some more development. Like when we think about the
two is honestly truly remembered for. If you really want to break this down, is first off the airport scene.
Yep.
It is truly remembered.
Well, that's because of the controversy that was the airport scene.
Yeah.
And then the other thing it's really remembered for is the invasion of Russia.
Yeah.
That's really what it's remembered for.
I don't even remember. I don't even remember. Call of Duty 2, the only thing I honestly remember is the airport.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Like,
and getting shot at the end of it.
That's
the only thing I remember.
In Call of Duty 2, you at least had you had two repeating characters that were essential. You had Price, and
So, yep.
And Soap, in a sort of kind of way, you saw a character progression of Soap. Because you saw him go from FNG
to the team leader.
To he's the new Price.
Task Force.
Until Price is there again.
Yeah.
And then by the third one, it's just trying to focus on Price, which Price himself is a good character when he has something to bounce off of.
Right.
Price standalone, when you're just playing as Price, is meh. When Price is the outside figure that's in charge, he's much better.
But when you're when you're playing with him, with that Yuri guy in the third one, who really doesn't have a whole lot of depth.
Yuri was kind of like a thrown in, try to tie together character.
That's where my biggest problem with it was.
Your face explains it.
Was it Yuri Price?
No,
Yuri was the guy that knew Makarov.
He knew he was in Makarov's organization. Okay. He leaked the information to the Americans in 2.
Yeah, it was just.
Which one is the one where you're playing the bad guy? Is that 4 or no? One of them you're playing. You're like thinking you're somebody else the whole time, and then you're playing.
I think you're talking about Black Ops.
Maybe
that's
Black Ops. You're talking about Black Ops where Mason is Reznov.
That's
Black Ops 1.
That's
2?
2.
Well, that's the number. I think that's 2.
That's 2 where it's released.
No, 1 is 1 because it's the numbers thing, and then it's the same thing Spec Ops Line did. It's like you're actually the bad guy. Yeah. You're the guy you've been saying. You're Reznov. You're not Mason. But no, it's like because even if you go by Shocky modes, okay. So Modern Warfare 1. Nuke, that was your big thing, basically. Modern Warfare 2, airport.
Mm-hmm.
What do you remember from Modern Warfare 3?
Invasion of New York and
was that really memorable to you?
Soap was about the only thing.
So, the most memorable thing for me really was the fact that the most memorable thing was between the destruction of the Russian fleet in New York, because that was a pretty big deal in the game, in the beginning of the game. But the most memorable thing was
Is that where everything was flooding?
It's where the city was it wasn't. You go out into the Hudson River and you sink the entire Russian fleet from the submarine, the Oscar II.
Because, I mean, like, in Modern Warfare 1, the nuke going off, that was kind of something you really hadn't seen in video games.
Right.
And you violated Rule 1. Shame. Just shame towards him, please. There you go.
I thought I had turned this off.
The airport thing. The airport thing in Modern Warfare 2. The airport thing in Modern Warfare 2 was very big, but like the invasion angle, the Russian invasion thing, we'd kind of seen that before. That's been
Red Dawn.
That's been a theme.
No.
But the difference between what
Red
you would see in
Dawn,
like Red
I did-
Dawn and in Modern Warfare, even in Modern Warfare 2, was you actually saw the Russians on the West Lawn in the White House. That you were
well, I
fighting
mean,
them.
there's that, but like the invasion of the East Coast, to kind of go with generation before, you had freedom fighters.
True,
That was all in New York.
right?
I don't remember that one.
It was a squad base.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, one that I didn't play.
It's kind of like Fallout Brotherhood of Steel Tactics, almost. Had the same kind of feel to it.
You did
No.
not have them.
No.
No.
But
No.
whereas now with Battlefield, like I said, there's memorable moments, not so much. Like it's there, the story's there, but now everything that was put in that Battlefield 1 trailer was basically iconic shots.
That's all they do.
Wow. But then the newest Infinite Warfare trailer is kind of generic space.
That's why I don't really watch trailers too much, because all you see is what they want you to see. What I want to see, the gameplay.
Well, that's the thing. The problem is with Battlefield, it's EA. There's microtransactions. That's already confirmed. And
Well, that's everybody.
and it's DICE. So
Dice
probably going.
never wants to release anything unless they absolutely have to.
And it's probably going to be a little bit buggy on launch. I mean, it's just the way it is.
That's just how.
Well,
That's the bad part about all of this is that's how all of it is.
Well,
You get the shell games, you get the buggy launches because we now have DLC that can fix all that stuff. Stuff should be launched ready to get. What happened to PS2?
Look at what Total War has become.
PS2 actually started it.
Well, because of the online.
Because of that, and there was disc DLC.
Yeah.
You still bought it DLC. Just
Well, I mean, it
on
wasn't.
disc.
It
But-
wasn't.
It was the ones that made it the worst. I mean, PC had it before, but
Right.
the ones that made it the worst were Guitar Hero.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Guitar Hero Rock Band set up the premise for it. People
With all
went out
their-
and bought physical discs that was basically add-on content
Right.
and progressed from there.
Well, but and the other problem, really, if you look at it too, from even just a standpoint of like a gamer like me, I don't buy games for their DLC content. I don't play online a lot. I'm a campaign player. I want to be told a good story. And even everyone says, well, these games are totally crappy, but you know what? At least it had a decent story to it. Like, for example, Colonial Marines, terrible by all measurable standards.
Its story mode is still bad.
It's story mode, but
the
the story
itself is okay.
If you take the story out of the game, it's awesome. If you
Yeah.
leave it in the game, it's not that
But
good.
what happened with the game is like there was development hell on it. It was once again
a quick launch.
Sega,
Well, it went through 3 developers. It
Sega
went
and
10
Gearbox.
years.
Gearbox wanted to be done with it.
I think Sega is kind of like a
I think
disease for anyone who touches them.
Well,
Look
that's
at-
the thing though. Sega was
Yeah.
still attached to the last one.
Yeah.
Sega was still attached to
I
Isolation.
mean, look at
It's just a
where-
matter
And
of-
Isolation was amazing.
yeah, it's just a matter of
Look at
Gear-
where the Total War franchise has gone since, before the medieval 1 and 2 and Rome. You get complete launches, full game,
Yeah.
fleshed out. Rome 2
Well, I
was
mean,
buggy as hell
the
when
thing
they
we
started
remember,
doing the DLC stuff.
well, the thing we have to remember with like Sega, like DLC is most definitely on the publisher, but Sega in this case is the publisher.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They're not the developer. And they're not known to be as hands-on as like an
Yeah,
Activision, as an
they
EA.
probably
But when
Right.
it comes down to like DLC decisions, that's all on the publisher.
Oh yeah.
But like the Isolation game that came out fine. But Gearbox was handed the title.
Well,
They were handed
to
kind of a thing they had to work in,
yeah.
and they didn't want to do it.
That's part of the problem,
It ended
like-
up. Sorry.
No. What I would say was part of the problem is that there was a lot of hesitance from Gearbox to do it. That was actually made very public on numerous sources that I had found, like on the internet, IGN, and stuff like that. There was a lot of hesitance and a lot of reluctance for them to do it.
Because there was so much pressure. That was supposed to be the game that brought the
Brought
aliens back.
Back and it,
Well,
bring the
that
Colonial
game-
Marines back into
Well,
the
that- and
Aliens
there was-
franchise.
there was
back in the
appar-
franchise.
Apparently, there was so much. Gearbox did go into making a much longer game that was presented to us, but there was lots of the levels that were cut out because there's just too much. And then the online
Also-
was hit and miss.
Well,
also, to be fair, to talk for Colonial Marines, I can't do it nicely. That game was supposed to launch. It was supposed to be a launch title with the PS2.
mhm.
It was supposed to be a launch title for the PS2.
One of the last ones
I said it's
before
supposed to be.
3.
It was supposed to be. It was no.
It
was supposed to be before the PS.
It was development hell. It was like
It was.
But at the same time, you got.
It was Duke Nukem Forever.
Well, I mean, like,
Yeah.
and when you go back even one further, like,
It was
the Alien versus Predator on 360.
Oh god.
But in all honesty, the gameplay in that wasn't that bad. It had its giant.
It was
plot
glitchy.
holes.
Yeah, and it was a little
But,
glitchy
like,
too.
I mean, like the most memorable moment I have from that is in the Marine campaign.
I thought the Marine campaign was better.
Well,
than
the
that
Marine-
than it was.
Well, the problem is like controlling the alien will always be a son of a bitch.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trying to control an alien with the way they move and the constant change in orientation will never be easy.
Plus, also their sight profile, they see mostly auras and
Mhm.
energy, and that's really hard to go off of.
And then like the online was unbalanced because the Predator was.
The strongest.
But in the campaign, the most memorable moment I had was in the Marine campaign. You're trying to open a door because the campaign is all interlocked, so this door had been closed before. So okay, I'm going to open this door. So you go push the door down, and then you hear a noise. So your character turns. Marine turns to his left. He comes back around, and in the doorway is standing the Predator. And you just look. And the moment where it kind of breaks things, it kind of breaks storyline wise, where there's the Predator grabs you by the throat with one hand, and then he takes his other hand to swing at you. And just because you happen to have metal bracer on, your Marine goes, "Wata!" and then survives a throw down into a pit perfectly fine. I'm like, it was at that point, I'm like, because there was, even the Marine character itself was just a generic rookie character. You were just the new guy, because that's the most generic thing you can have in this. In most shooters, like you're the new guy.
And to kind of flip flop too, in Colonial Marines, you were at least a squad leader. You were a little bit more. You were a corporal, but you were also a little more of a seasoned character. You weren't truly a green guy. I mean, your character was a little more seasoned. And Stubby's giving us a signal here.
I'm giving you the signal for how much time we have left.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, we'll wrap this up
confused.
here.
I was confused.
We'll wrap this up here real quick. But what I'm saying is at least some of the characters were a little bit better than what you have seen in previous Colonial Marine types. They even brought back Corporal Hicks, which was
Hicks was the only reason that game was made.
But the problem is, at the same time, that was the most mailed-in performance in that game. Michael Bain.
His voice is so bad in that game.
He did not.
I swear
he
they.
couldn't
I
get
swear
into
they took him.
character.
I swear they.
I
He
heard-
called the.
I
called
heard
the
rumors
studio.
that he was drunk during voice recording.
He was.
I heard rumors. That
He was. He was drunk. That's been.
If he wasn't drunk, he
They had
should have been.
They had to drive him home.
Well,
But
multiple
either way,
times.
but the other side of the coin is
Did they tape him from the back of the limousine?
no.
Because that's what it sounds like. in
but
certain
I got
spots.
rescued from the ship.
Excuse
I
me,
don't
guys.
remember this
This
shit.
is a great day here. But what I'm getting at.
Xenomorphs.
There's xenomorphs.
But-
the little face.
But what
All I have
what
to-
I'm getting at though is
Was
at
he
least-
dying from lack of blood in the game? That's why he was
Maybe.
talking so bad.
Maybe.
I know he was mucked up in the game, but still, there's a
But
limit.
the other thing that it kind of really got into the one aspect of the story is that it really got into the depths of what Weyland Yutani really wanted to do. Even in the movies, even for the first Alien versus Predator movie, was not. I will admit, this was not a good. It was not a good movie, plain and simple, story wise.
Let's just say that everything after Aliens was mediocre at best.
Yeah, I will agree with that. Aliens and Predator 1.
Well, here's the thing: they were separate until like video games crossover, but storyline wise, it was really kind of.
Right, but the other thing is like I said, the one thing I get at here is that actually got into that story arc that a lot of people have wanted for the longest time.
Right.
Colonial Marines going against Weyland Yutani, because they've always had. If you read any of the books, Weyland Yutani was always the bad guys, always fighting the Marines to control the xenomorphs.
Yeah.
But the problem is that at least with this game, you finally got to see some of that.
But at the same time, that was one of the complaints against Colonial Marines is there was so much time spent
fighting Weyland Yutani and not xenomorphs.
Like the biggest complaints were obviously buggy, fighting too much Weyland Yutani, and the overabundance of ammo. At no point did you feel like anything from Aliens, because at all points you're like, I have plenty of ammo. There is ammo everywhere.
Right,
I can
but
shoot aliens
there's
all
a
day.
there's a couple
If
of spots
they
in the
would've-
game where I've actually run out of
Yeah.
ammo.
Well, I mean, like the best part, honestly, the best part of wasn't that game, I don't believe, but like AVP had a survival mode
Yeah, they have.
where it was dark corridor, you had limited ammo, and you had the motion tracker.
Well, if you get like another one,
That can make you nervous.
The motion
I
tracker is the
remember
worst part of everything.
Yes.
Every game. It's just
Oh.
like, well, even then, like, because even like the AVP motion tracker, if they got behind you, like in the other motion trackers, you at least get the blip, the radio blip. In AVP, if they got behind you, there was no radio blip.
yeah,
It was just gone. You're like,
I'm dead.
just gonna put this down and throw a grenade right here.
Well, but
Chat front.
but at least the other good thing with like I said within Colonial Marines that was actually somewhat decent is you finally got to wield effectively. They actually effectively worked out some of the glitches from AVP was the smart gun. It was even though it's still pretty powerful no matter where you go, but they actually got it to function properly, which I liked.
Okay, so any parting thoughts? I mean, we have about 4 minutes left in the video, so.
Live long and prosper.
Well, I mean, any parting thoughts on upcoming things? Any hopes?
My only hope is I hope Titanfall 2 will live up to the hype, and for me, I'm a 40K guy. I'm hoping Dawn of War 3 will be impressive to say the least, even though they only have 3 races. So it's the Orcs, the Space Marines, and the
It's
Eldar.
classic RTS mindset.
Yeah.
I hope if they come out.
Joel and I were talking about we're excited for Resident Evil.
Oh yeah.
It's
The
really
demo is up.
the demo is
I
up for
want-
PlayStation. Is it up for Xbox now?
No,
as well?
it's
No,
it's just
no.
PlayStation.
I think it's going to be a
But
strict
it's going-
PlayStation title.
No, it's
The
their
game
title
is-
said all
The
3.
game
Oh, it
itself-
did. I heard
But the
PlayStation.
demo
Demo is-
itself
That's-
is
okay,
only
that's-
PlayStation.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it follows a lot like PT.
Which
So
where are they at?
fingers crossed.
Where are they at in the storyline? with
I
this
don't
one?
even know because
It's what I've heard from the game quickly in a summary. It's going to follow the storyline, but something happened where it's in a different spot. It's not Raccoon City, but it's still the same story arc. They're not retconning. They're not doing any of that stuff. It's something totally different.
Oh, that'll be.
we're not
interesting.
retconning Chris Redfield's steroid use.
Punch the boulder.
Like that might have been a moment there. Like I can't accept Leon Kenny is the world's most ultimate badass in that universe because he is.
It's Leon freaking Kennedy.
Just even his reflex, he's like, I don't
It's
care.
like the freaking Matrix all over again.
Yeah,
you're gonna hit nothing but air.
Yeah, Leon Kennedy is the ultimate badass, and I don't care anyone from the first game. I'm sorry. Chris Redfield does steroids.
I like
He
Jill.
Juices.
I mean, Jill's good, but there's been times where Jill's just kind of throwaway character.
They've done that with everybody except Leon.
Bring
Like-
back Nemesis.
No, don't do that.
Well, just because even
I just
like,
had to do that for him, by the way.
like Jill's been kind of like, oh, she's there, she's cool. Oh, she's really not important in the story.
That's
Oh, she's
fine.
on a boat.
Isn't
Yeah,
that Jill Valentine, right?
Yeah,
she's
I
the
don't-
she's the female in the
But-
first one and the third one.
it's
Yeah.
because
Nemesis.
Yeah,
oh,
fighting
she was on a
Nemesis.
boat too. They put her in the other one.
Well,
The
they put her in
Revelations.
Revelations.
You want to know
2?
when she's memorable? When there's Barry.
You almost was a Jill sandwich. Just cut there.
Bow, chicka, wow, wow.
Without Barry, Jill is. They want to make her bigger, but without Barry there to just say something stupid, you don't remember Jill.
I was almost a clear sandwich.
So?
Does Barry tell everybody that story? I
Barry
actually
has-
like
I don't
that.
remember that.
Barry doesn't know
It's
English
in
well.
Revelations 2.
Yeah, he doesn't know English well.
So
Barry just there's certain big gun.
He's very redneck.
he's your AA12 guy. So anyway,
Magnum. Duh.
give him an AA12. He could
No,
probably do it.
Magnum.
That requires too
That
much.
requires.
Why big? One hand gun.
Hey, I'm just saying he could probably
I can
wield it
fire
one
2 of
handed.
them.
Give me 2 Magnum. Make
Yeah.
boom. Make boom.
But
Yeah,
anyway,
exactly.
Stubbs, let's we got more gaming to do, buddy.
Yeah. Oh, you're coming to the end. Exactly where I figured it would. So go ahead and say your goodbyes.
Goodbye. Leave a like, leave a comment, and seriously, as Stubb would say, do not forget to subscribe. Bye-bye.